with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you can remain standing for a moment of silence for the veterans that are serving our country and those that have served our country in the past. Thank you. If you have a cell phone, please put it on vibrate or turn it off. And anyone that has a hat or any headgear, if you could just take it off your head for the duration of the council meeting. Thank you. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson. Bucci.
Here.
Christensen.
Here.
Condon.
Here.
DePietro.
Here.
Fallon.
Here.
Kinnon.
Here.
Murphy. Nestor.
Here.
Spatafora. Lucy.
Here. First order of business. Yes. Tonight, on the request by Council, the Finance Chair, Jimmy Nestor, he's asked Sid Smith, Superintendent of Schools, to come up and give us an update. So, Mr. Smith. Thanks. Okay, I'd like to turn it over to Councilor Nestor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for attending, Superintendent Smith. We originally asked you to come down. I know you had a conflicting engagement when there was some concern there would be a fairly large deficit this year, which it seemed to get smaller and smaller, and then there's some favorable news from the state for you. So and I know we just received the initial budget from the mayor today, and this document we haven't had a chance to review. So if you wouldn't mind just briefly walking through what the outlook is for the school department next year.
Next year.
Next year, I'm sorry. Next year, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. I can, first of all, how much time do I have? Do I have a little?
You can do hours on end if you
Hours on end?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Before I give you detail about next year's budget, I've included in your sheet an initial sheet just because I like to talk a little bit about some recent district accomplishments, because I want you to know what you're paying for. And I think these are important to give some background, and they also give background to the goals that we're trying to achieve with this year's budget. The first item at the top, student growth. Malden is currently #1 in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in terms of the growth of student scores on English language, arts, and mathematics among demographically comparable districts throughout the Commonwealth. This data comes directly from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. In addition, you'll notice some data about our advanced placement, course enrollment, and achievement. Over the course of the last 3 years, we've had a 185% increase in AP enrollments. We've had a 125% increase in AP exams taken. A 71% increase in AP qualifying scores versus 14% for the state. Qualifying scores are those scores that earn the students an opportunity to get college credits. 155% increase in AP qualifying scores for our low-income students, and 214% increase in AP qualifying scores among our African American and Hispanic students. There is at most one district in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that has data that is as good as this. I believe there are none, but there may be one. So I wanted to make you aware of the kind of achievements that have been attained in the area of advanced placement. In terms of special education, 2 items. First of all, we've lowered our special education enrollment to 14%. And at the same time, we've improved the district's DESE performance status from level 4, which was the lowest, to level 1, which is the highest, over the course of the last few years. In terms of English language learners, we've unified and upgraded the district's English language learners program. And what that has added up to is that we've received promising practices status in regards to English language learners, again, from the DESE. In terms of curriculum and professional development, we've unified and upgraded the district's curriculum and the professional development program, both vertically and horizontally, I mean K to 12 and across all subject areas. And when I came into the district, we had a professional development budget that sent over $200,000 out of the district to other vendors. we now send not a penny out of the district to other vendors. We conduct all of our professional development in-house, and it's that professional development that has resulted in these gains. In terms of students at risk, we've significantly increased the in-school interventions in reading and mathematics for students at risk in every school. That's inclusive of all students. It's not just a special education program. It's in-classroom and out-of-classroom interventions for all students. In terms of instructional supervision and support, we instituted a highly effective class visitation program as a teacher support and classroom monitoring vehicle, which is parallel to our formal performance evaluation system. In other words, it exists outside of that. It is totally for support and professional development. And this program was also cited in the DESE report to us around English language learners. Even though they didn't come in to look at this visitation system, they heard so much about it in talking to administrators and teachers throughout the district and the impact it has had on teaching and learning. In terms of higher education, our students from the high school, we have received the highest number of POSSE scholarships in Massachusetts over the last 3 years. And these POSSE scholarships are for first-in-family college students, the first kids in the families to have gone to college. We've instituted a collaborative program with Bunker Hill Community College. It's leading to college credits and advanced academic status for dozens of Malden High School students each year. And Bunker Hill has asked if they can expand that program so that they can offer Bunker Hill classes not only during the evening but during the day, because they've had such a terrific relationship with us and it's had such great benefits for both parties. And the last item I mentioned there is that our graduates routinely gain admission to the most competitive colleges in the country. And they're not just local. We have kids next year who are going to Yale, to MIT, to Harvard, to Brown, and to Stanford, which isn't right across the street. In terms of national recognition, I think you all know back in 2009, a couple of years ago, Malden High was identified as one of the top high schools in Massachusetts by U.S. News and World Report. And in terms of academic programs, we've maintained our full academic, music, arts, and athletic programs during the recent recession without having to resort to fees. And at the same time, we are now expanding our vocational tech program by adding a pre-engineering and health assisting program in the high school next year. So I give all of this background not just to toot our horn, but I like doing that also, but also to set up the goal, which is at the bottom. Our goal for the FY12 budget is simply to maintain the momentum. We want to preserve the educational programs that are currently in place, and we want to retain our current staff. And the budget I'm going to go through with you now with some detail. I'm not going to run through. You do have the line item budget there. I'm not going to go through each line item, but I wanted to make sure it was available to you so that you could look at it between now and the next time we may meet or you may meet with the mayor. But I gave you a single sheet that I want to run through to give you a sense of what the budget is, where it came from, how we constructed it. So I'm looking at the single sheet that says Malden Public Schools FY12 budget 5.24. Okay, the left-hand column. We started out by as I said before, our goal is to maintain the momentum in our program. So we looked to create a level services budget. In order to do that, the level services, the funding that we received from the city on the left-hand column between personnel and OM was a bit over $48 million. Federal and state funds, stimulus, stabilization, jobs bill funds, you'll notice, amounted to almost $3.5 million. Additional commitments as a result of our collective bargaining agreements, which include step increases, salary increases, etc., add up to an additional $1.3 million. So in order to continue the same programs and services we have now and carry them forward into the next year, it would cost a total of $53,181,528. Now on the right-hand side, I itemize some additional needs that we have for next year, some savings that we are going to institute in order to not only counterbalance those additional needs, but also to dip further into the budget. And then I give the projected revenue, so you have a sense of where the money's coming from. Our additional needs, first item is a science director. We've operated without a science director this year. I've provided some of that service, or to the best of my ability. It didn't add up to a good science director. We need a science director in the district. So that item is mentioned there. Pre-engineering teacher and woodworking teacher, we are adding those two positions to the high school to beef up the vocational tech program. We already have a .4 woodworking teacher. That's why you see here a .6 full-time equivalent. We want to expand it to a full-time position. The assistant principal position, that's at Forestdale. That's a $10,000 item only because that particular assistant principal is retiring in September, so we are carrying that person in August and September until that person's replacement starts. In terms of instructional technology coordinator, that $13,000 has to do with a portion of that person's salary that was paid for by a grant. That grant has ended, so we need to assume that portion of the salary. An ESL teacher at Ferryway, you notice it's only 2 months. Again, it's one of these retirement situations. That teacher will be retiring after 2 months, at which time after she retires, that position will be eliminated. The ESL teacher at Salemwood is an additional need. What that is actually representing is a swap of the ESL teacher position at Fairway for the ESL teacher position at Salemwood due to a shift in enrollments. Guidance counselor at the high school, we need an additional guidance counselor. We are going through our accreditation next year. We have already received notification from the NEASC that we will be cited for not having sufficient number of guidance counselors to provide services to the students. We propose to put that position into place right now for next year. The MCAS monitoring, that's a small item. That's to identify a certified sub who can monitor our implementation of the MCAS assessment. We now have professional staff spending lots and lots of hours just monitoring that test. It's not a good utilization of their time, so we want to bring in a sub who can monitor those tests. Special education, the ASD teacher and the ASD paraprofessionals and behavior analysts. Those are new positions that are going into Forestdale. They are going in largely because of the significant increase in autistic students in the district, not only at Forestdale, but at the Early Learning Center, and they are moving from the Early Learning Center up into Forestdale. The integrated kindergarten teacher and paras are at Salemwood. That too represents an increase in the special education population, particularly in this case at the Early Learning Center that is graduating and going into the Salemwood School. Same is the case for the Malden High School PACE teachers and paras. That's those are middle school students who are now graduating into the high school and expanding our total enrollment of our PACE students in the high school. We need to update the website. That's what that 4,000 is about. And then for pre-engineering, the particular pre-engineering program that we have 2 teachers that need to take summer professional development, and that $7,200 is designated to pay for that. So those are additional needs, but we need to compensate for those by making cuts, and we have done so in the following areas. In special education, the Malden High School, we're cutting a learning center teacher. There has been a shift to more PACE kids and less kids who are in need of the learning center, as well as paraprofessionals associated with that program. We are cutting the behavior interventionist at Malden High School. We brought that position into the new alternative high school that was launched this year in the high school, and have determined that we can reluctantly continue to move forward without that position. The remainder of that program has been extremely successful. We're cutting a Forestdale multi-handicapped teacher and a speech therapist, just because in those particular areas, even though we've seen a large increase in other areas like autism, in these particular areas the IEPs have gone down, so we are able to make cuts there. As I mentioned before, the ESL teacher, that cut is really a shift. That teacher position is moving from Fairway to Salemwood. Science coach position is being cut because we are proposing to hire the science director. We only have one coach for the entire district. The Linden principal, that salary differential is, as I believe you all know, we are hiring, Rich Bransfield will be the new principal at Linden next year, and his salary is less than the current principal. The two teacher positions are being cut from the high school, and that's a move of equity as we've expanded two positions. As I mentioned above, the pre-engineering and woodworking, we are consequently cutting two positions. No professional permanent staff, though, are impacted by this. We are dealing with retirements. At the house principal at the high school, we are not actually decreasing positions, but we have but one of our high school house principals is retiring this year, and we are going to rehire him for the 20% of time that he is eligible to continue to work in the district. So he will be able to work 20% time be paid for 20% time between September and December, and again be paid for 20% between January and June. That is calibrated on an annual basis, not on a school calendar, on a regular calendar. But we save $65,000 in doing that. Early retirement, salaries, due to the early retirements, these are savings that we have, and just the regular retirements, replacing seasoned staff with younger staff, these are savings that we will accrue. The autism teacher facilitator, that's someone we brought in 2 years ago to help expand our autistic program. We are cutting that person's contract down by $41,000. We continue to need some assistance, but not at the level that we've received. Math interventionists, we have a contract with Citizen Schools that brings in 10 people part-time. These are kind of like interns of a sort to support our mathematics program. We can no longer afford that particular program. They're also having funding problems from the feds. The program might not even exist next year. Instructional materials, nurse supplies, and are some just additional cuts. The utility savings comes from us shifting all of our weekend activities to the high school, so that the K-8 schools would not be need to be utilized during the weekend. So those are our additions and savings. The revenue below that, you notice the first line of projected revenue. From the city with Chapter 70 is $50,428,433. The mayor gave me a target of somewhere between 50 and